line, what we want to do is to build a tangent line at a particular point. So that we want that tangent line. All right, so that secant line is going to take the entire inside here and say that the slope of that secant line is going to be given by this slope formula. It's just a slightly different way of writing it. It's f of x2 minus f of x1 all over x2 minus x1. That's my mother. Nope. Okay. Okay, so in order to find the slope of the secant line, we subtract our y values, and then we subtract our x values, put them in ratio with one another, and that's how we get it. In order to find the slope of a tangent line, we do the same thing, but then we say, let that delta x, the difference between the 2 points, go to 0. So eventually we're, in theory, overlapping them and saying, hey, you know, close enough. Once we get really, really, really close, what happens? Anybody who's not sure about limits, let me know, because it's fairly easy to figure out once we actually talk about it a little bit. But okay, cool. Oh, nice. For anybody else, boop. Sensation Black is one of our Twitch friends who often comes by and says hi and checks out a lot of our other math content, and, you know, the rest of our content too. So go ahead and give them a follow as well. We also have currently live Enigma. Hey. We have Ian Stuckey. And we have Dawn Does Math. Dawn was the one we gave a shout out to earlier, whose live message was 95% of people can't unscramble this, and gave us E pins. Obviously the answer is spine. Get your mind out of the gutter. And Ian Stuckey is another of our math chads who, for anybody who wants those, who are part of our unofficial stream team. We were all math educators, and we came together in about November. I found, really, it was the other way around. Zach and Penn found me, and I was just like, all right, cool. And then they were like, no, we do this too. I was like, whoa, wait a second. I started paying a little bit more attention to the math category, and also they use sometimes science and tech, so gets to be pretty fun. Let's see, what other stuff do I want to talk about tonight? So while we're on a Calc 1 kick, we can also talk about some of the rules that exist. Oftentimes on this channel, we will use the generic derivative operator, so D, rather than DDX. And there isn't much of a reason why I do it particularly. However, there is one important difference, excuse me, and that is when we take the derivative of a particular function, we do get, f prime of x, which is the derivative of x, but then we need to do the chain rule as well and take the derivative of the inside. The derivative of x is dx. So this is one thing that I recommend, especially if you are going to be working at all in the domain of differential equations. So differential equations itself is just a field that really loves having differentials like dx attached to particular functions. Now the difference between this and ddx is really, there isn't one, but typically if you're doing ddx of f of x, then you're going to get, we're going to get f prime of x times, now we take the derivative of the inside, it's ddx of x, and, well, ddx of x is just 1. Or if you want, we can do dx dx, which is f prime of x times 1. So it's just f prime of x. We do like cramming stuff in all the way on the corner of the page on this channel, so. So in this way we can say, all right, if we just want to take the derivative of a particular setup, so for instance, f of x plus g of x, oftentimes what we get is the limit as h goes to 0, same deal as before. Here we get f of x plus h plus g of x plus h. Never gonna viv you up. Hey, how's it going? My name is Obi-Wan Pez. This is N Simplex Pachinko. We're having, oops. And there we go. Our first mistake, no. Used to be, so... Yep, so, So, yeah, I go by the handle Obi-Wan Pez because... Did I really not have it nearby? That is ridiculous. One sec. I think it's back here. The other possibility is that it is in my stuff. The good news is that my stuff is coming to this house in 6 days. So, well, okay, 6.5. So, I swear it's here. At any rate. So I will finally have my desk, be able to sit at it, put my feet up, instead of sitting on the floor and getting cramp every single day. Yeah, I must have left it somewhere else. On the plus side, I do have a calculator. That's weird. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I brought it with me on my person, but I can't find it, so... Oh well. The reason that I'm pretty sure that it's around... The reason that I'm pretty sure that my Pez dispenser is around is because I brought these with me. So, like, if I brought these with me, I'm pretty sure I brought the Pez dispenser with me. This is my Einstein. I used to have this on my desk at work in a corporate office. And this is the Einstein action figure. He has a piece of chalk, and his arm is fully articulated, can bend at the elbow and the shoulder. His hair is, in fact, nicely frizzed out, and I would oftentimes have him up on my desk and have a little post-it note right next to him that said something, because one of my other coworkers had like a John Cena doll, which also had a little... like erg. So I was like, well, let's bring some intelligence to this. And it would usually be like an Einstein quote or a Douglas Adams quote or something like that. Not me being pretentious, I promise. And yeah, our Vault 101 lockpicker. Because that's the other thing. I definitely have that. But I can't see them where I'm sitting. I have I am an accomplished, although not expert, lock picker. So I can actually pick locks. If you do it in the UK, though, where I've just moved, you can be taken into custody for coming equipped, meaning that you are intending on doing a robbery. So, or intending on doing a burglary. So I have decided to leave them at home. Yep, I saw the Fallout show recently too. It was one of my friends from high school was in it. So it is really awesome. He was also in oh yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna I'm not the criminal. But anyway. Yeah. I mean, there's plenty to steal. You just don't do it because, like, you actually know your neighbors. So this particular person was in Fallout. He was also in shoot, Reservation. Yeah, Reservation Dogs. If you haven't seen Reservation Dogs, it's really good. He was also in uh, a show called... Ugh. Selfie. Starring John Cho and Karen Gillan. But yeah, it was really amazing. Like, I got to see him on TV, and I was like, dude, I know that guy. And then he was in Reservation Dogs. I'm like, dude, I know that guy, and he shows up more often. I mean, he had kind of a recurring part in Selfie, but it was also kind of like, it was very small. Every time he'd come in, it was only like 1 or 2 times per episode, and like, a line, and then go. But it was very much like, that is his personality. Definitely, 100%. I know exactly who that is, and I was just like rolling. So I'm like, that he has not changed one. I mean, got older, grew up and stuff, and whatever. But at the same time, it was like, that guy right there, 100%. I could see that that personality shine through. He was also in Jurassic World as like a ride operator, and I didn't actually see Jurassic World, but I should probably do that at some point. And then yeah, Reservation Dogs came around. I was like, dude, he's in this, and again, definitely that personality shining through. And he was in Fallout, and I was like, okay, you're only in it for 1 episode, but let me tell you. It was just hilarious. Loved it. And if you've watched the entire series, you know who he is. He was one of the stoners. Right. Anyway. So yeah, to answer your earlier question, I am or was a professor at a 2-year community college in the United States. My family has since uprooted and moved to the United Kingdom. We're living in, broadly speaking, Yorkshire, and it's a series of, I don't even know how many counties, but in the north-ish part of the United Kingdom, or northish part of England. We're, roughly, or Yorkshire itself is roughly speaking about halfway between Edinburgh in Scotland and London in the south of England. So no problem. My spouse got a job. My spouse has had a job in the United States for the last basically 20 years, and an opportunity came up here in England, and we were looking at, well, do we want to do this because it's going to really uproot the family, the kids are going to have to change out schools and all this other stuff. And then we looked into the financials, and they're paying for the kids' schooling. They're paying for our rent and utilities, or there's a stipend for it. And I have a work visa if I want it. So, yes, please. So I have the ability to work in the UK, and basically any money I make whatsoever is just going straight to the bank. So at the moment, I'm not really doing anything. I am trying to build my presence on Twitch and try and get some of my stuff ported over to YouTube, and finally script out some videos so that I can do math education on both Twitch and YouTube. So it's going to be cool. We'll see how it goes. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but nobody does. So yeah, it's a lot of benefits, and like, you know, basically, I mean, because we don't have to pay for housing, that's a significant chunk of like all that stuff. Math and animation. Yeah. There was a point where I was like, I really need to do Grant Sanderson's challenge, which was the 3 blue 1 brown channel. He made a challenge that was like, hey, any math educators out there, you know, you can have basically free access to like my animation system. I think that was the deal. And I want you all to like make something that is going to explain a particular topic. Just do the best you can with it. And it was a contest, so it was like, you know, the best one is gonna be like get highlighted by him on his gigantic channel. At the time I was working at the community college and like didn't have any real time to put into it. I wanted to do it, but like it's kind of a lot of work, and again, I was not super able to keep up with trying to do that and also make sure that I kept my job. You know, things go like that. Almost. There. So right now we're working on some calculus stuff. If anybody does have any questions, let me know. Ah, that's cool. I mean, I really look up to him as a educator, generally speaking. His math stuff is pretty solid, so like... Oh, right. And if we're doing generic derivatives, this is going to end up multiplying by our delta x. Technically, this is on the inside of that parenthesis. Okay, and then all these. When we take the limit as h goes to 0, our delta x becomes dx. Now we can make this f prime at x plus g prime at x. Times dx. Right, and that's our generic derivative for f of x plus g of x. So yeah, Grant seems like somebody to look up to. Yeah, UK is really good so far. It's only been about a month since we actually like moved in. Um, so, oh, wait a minute. Hang on. No, no, no. It's been like a month and a half now. We just spent a week, or like half a week in Wales, and it's absolutely gorgeous. We went on a dolphin cruise and saw some dolphins off the Welsh coast. The guys who were running the tour were like, yeah, we spent like our entire hour on this last cruise seeing absolutely nothing except, you know, there's some birds on the water and up on the cliff sides. And it's really cool because there's like 3 different kinds of birds, and you don't often see all 3 of them living together. But like this is like the one part of the Welsh coast where you typically see it. This was New Quay in Wales, and the tour operators going on about some cool stuff about what, you know, things you see like that. And he said it wasn't until we turned around and were just about to head back that a couple of dolphins started splashing around, and he's like, but we got to go back. So he was like, we just saw them at the tail end of last one, so hopefully we'll still see them. And so we got like all the way out to where like there's a little inlet where all of the cliff birds are nesting, and they're like, you know, this is where we saw them, but I don't know if we're gonna see them. And then like we see, you know, little dorsal fin followed by the fluke, which granted the dolphins don't like show off the fluke like whales do, but you could definitely see the rear fin. It was like, yay, we got them. So we got a few pictures, we got a couple of videos, and then like we started getting a bit closer. And I mean, these are wild dolphins, so they are not gonna approach the ship or anything like that unless they're hoping for food, which they don't. Like this tour does not do that, right? You're not gonna feed the wildlife and make them dependent on humans. It's awful. So he the captain pulled the boat around and then, you know, quieted down the engine a little bit, and we saw that it was one big one and one small one. We're like, oh, that's so cool. It's a mother teaching her baby how to, you know, come up for air, or when to come up for air, how often, that sort of thing, and like how to properly do it, all that. So we got to see a little educational moment. It was great. And our kids love it. Their ages are roughly. We also kind of love this fact. It's 7 and 11, so like our younger one was like, we've got to take a picture by a 7-Eleven because those are our ages. All right. Yep. And of course, we don't have a 7-Eleven in the UK, so it was like the day before we got on a plane. We were like, okay, we have to do it today because literally this is it. Yep. And then by the time we get back to America, right, I mean, even if we were to go back on vacation or anything, by the time we go back, like 99% likely they're gonna, at least one of them is gonna be a year older. So, or, you know, number wise is gonna be a year older. So yeah, we saw Wales. We're gonna go up to Scotland later on. Oh, it just turned 1. That's awesome. and everybody's gonna go, oh, it's such a great age. Yep, um, ours, yeah, it's so messy, but at the same time, it's so great to just watch. And my spouse and I both took neural networks as one of our classes for master's degree, and so like we had been our instructor had taught us a bunch of like, here's how the brain works, and to watch that like actively happening in our child, both of them, um, was just like absolutely mind blowing. Uh, and at the same time, just really cool. And like, you know, growing up, our parents had always told us, oh yeah, your first word was like mama and dada and all this other stuff, and our kid, our older one,